Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television talk show where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, so I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. It's always so much fun. Yeah, my phone goes off all the time. I'm sorry to write that down, but thank you so much for calling. And thank you also for sending emails. Donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. Doesn't worry me at all. The only time I can't take your calls when I'm on the air. But thank you so much for being with me. You can find us on television. We are syndicated on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com, all the social media sites. We're on them, facebook.com/D Feazell, and you'll find me that way as well. Okay, you're all waiting. Drum rolls, please. We're all waiting for Julia Christine. And Julia, you know, a lot of email. And a lot of the emails for you are about relationships. And so I don't see so much about the mother-in-law thing. So maybe you kind of dug in there and took care of your own here. I know I learned a lot what not to do because I'm a mother-in-law. And, sometimes you just have to get yourself out of the equation and think about that other person.
A little bit. In fact, yes.
But I didn't hear any complaints, so I'm good with that. Yeah. So anyway, and I love and I don't call her my daughter-in-law. I call her my daughter-in-love. Cute little Russian girl.
I call my brother-in-law my brother, so I get it.
And she has brought so much into, I love to cook. And I love different recipes from different countries. And so I've learned quite a bit from her. There's a berry called the gooseberry.
And I love gooseberries. Oh, they're so yummy.
Oh, I didn't know about gooseberries. And she mentioned it. So I asked her, I said, now, what is one fruit you miss that you're not finding here in the United States? And she said, gooseberries.
They're in California. I know they have them in California. So I
found them. And so I planted some seeds. And so, of course, we moved to South Carolina. So I'm having to wait all over again. I did try those last year, and they were really good.
They're so good.
Love them. But it's all because of my daughter-in-law, and who missed a little bit of Russia. And so we're bringing a little bit of that with her.
Very cool.
Yeah. So let's talk about your podcast before we get how folks can find you.
Okay. So you can reach out to me via my website, which is juliachristinehealer.com. But I do have a daily podcast, which is called Life After Breath. And it's about 3 to 5 minutes of just a little bit of advice regarding how to live your best life, how to feel complete and whole. I just did a series last week that I really liked where I talked about the chakras, because we talk about chakras in this world all the time and it feels like a whole bunch of hullabaloo, and it's actually really not. And it is a real thing. And so I talked about each one and what they all mean and stuff like that. And then we do about 3 to 5 minutes of breathing. I believe very strongly and know from personal experience and helping other people that if you can take just 3 minutes a day to just sit on your own and take some deep breaths, what that does is actually connects you to your inner being, or that intuition, that little voice in your head that guides you, that gut feeling you get. That's your intuition. That's your inner being. And really, that is your connection to God, or to, I call, whatever you call God. Let's put it that way. And so then you find peace first thing in the morning, and you start your day in ease, and you can move through the day with ease, and you'll be far more productive. You'll have far more patience. You'll feel so much better than getting sucked into the frenzy that we so easily get sucked into. And so that's my podcast, and you can find it on any podcast, wherever you listen to all your podcasts, it's there. And it's Life After Breath. And you can email me through the podcast as well.
I love it. And breathing is all the things. So Phil and I went to the doctor. We found a new doctor since we've moved into the area.
Good. Glad.
And moving here, of course, my mother moved with us. So we had all of her stuff. And there were boxes and boxes of stuff. They were quite heavy. So he injured his back. So the doctor said, I've got a couple of things for you. And he said, you guys are healthy. You're especially healthy for your age. So whatever you're doing, he's into holistic area healing as well. So I love that. And he's not one of those that disagrees with any kind of surgery if you need it. He said, this is what I think you can do. Since you are so healthy, he said, I think you can do some exercises. And 2 things are going to happen. He mentioned breathing. Make sure you breathe in and out while you're doing your exercises. And they're really simple exercises. So what's going to happen is either going to help you with the inflammation you have in your back. It's either going to help you and you'll be okay. Or if we do have to do surgery on your back, you're going to be healed so much faster than other people are because you've already got your back strengthened. And that's what surgery is. So
Absolutely.
he's banking on, I don't think you're going to have surgery.
Good. Yeah, absolutely.
Do what I say, then everything will be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
No. We're living life, right?
Absolutely. And the thing is about breathing, the thing I always talk about breathing is that when you breathe all day, every day, right? And so when I say that I want you to spend 3 minutes breathing, okay, I do that all day, every day. I don't even have to think about it. Cool. But what I want you to do is conscious breathing. And what I mean by that is like when you take a deep breath, you can do it right now. Focus on the air filling your lungs. Like you can literally feel the air expanding your lungs in your body, and it feels really good. And then, and then all of a sudden it leaves, and you do that again. You can feel, and so it really focuses your awareness, because there's so many things that we do on a daily basis that we're absolutely aware of. Think about how you talk to yourself. Think about the decisions that you're making. We think over 20,000 thoughts a day. I think it's like 20 to 40,000 thoughts a day. Are you kidding? Like you're not even aware of those thoughts. You're not even aware of the things how you treat yourself, let alone that is going to affect how you treat other people. Your thoughts create your emotions. So if you're grumpy all the time, what are you thinking about? But you're not aware of the things that you're thinking about. And so I feel like, how do you practice awareness? That's like putting your hand flat on your desk and telling your body, lift a finger. Me telling myself to lift a finger isn't how I lift a finger. I just lift the finger. Cool. Practice telling yourself and being aware of the things that you're actually doing. And how do you practice awareness? You practice awareness by focusing on your breath. Like I said, start with 3 breaths if you can't do 3 minutes a day. Sometimes people are like, I just don't have time. I'm on the go. I've got 18 children. I've got this. I've got that. And it's like, I get it. But every morning when you wake up, probably one of the first things you do is use the bathroom. Breathe. Mm-hmm. Breathe while you're on the toilet. Like as silly as that is, breathe while you're driving to work. Like just focus on your breath. The work thing, not the work thing, but the driving thing, I'm always a little cautious because I do want you to focus on what you're doing, and you need to focus on driving. So.
In front of me and then turn left.
Exactly. Like, sorry, I was breathing. No.
Because Julia Christine said I should breathe.
This is supposed to make me feel better. No. So be careful while you're driving, but it's at a stoplight. Mm-hmm. Take some deep breaths while you're waiting for the light to change. Like there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to pay attention to too much while you're, sitting there. And I also encourage people to do that with their kids in the car. Why not start your kids out? Like, okay, it's been a frenetic day getting you in the car. Now that we're here, let's take some deep breaths. Let's start our day from a neutral level space instead of starting our day up here, because then if it gets like worse, quote unquote, we're already up here. Mm-hmm. And so our reactions are going to be extreme. When if we were neutral, our reactions won't be near as extreme. Mm-hmm. So
it's, we're getting a lot of emails about chaos in folks' lives. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I can bring it on myself if I'm not careful, if I'm not aware.
Yes.
And this is something from your breathing techniques, something that helps me is I seem to be a little bit more aware. I think I can think more clear.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Especially after you take a couple of deep breaths. Like I have a friend who I was working with and we were really focusing on her breathing, and we were really focusing on like, you are in control. You are absolutely. And there's so much in our lives that we feel absolutely powerless about. We're out of control about the decisions the government's making, or the decisions our bosses are making, or the decisions our spouses are making, or whatever that is. And so we're like, but wait, hang on, how is this within my power? And the thing is, your life is within your power because you get to choose how to move through all of the stuff that is outside of your control. Mm-hmm. Let go of the things that are outside of your control and not try to hang on to those things so much. And so what you do is when you're in this frenzied space, there isn't room for your brain to think. Anyway, I was working with this person and she was like, I lost my keys and I was late, and I'm never late. But because I lost my keys, I'm running around, I'm tearing through the house. I don't know where anything is. And I just thought about our sessions, and I stopped, and I didn't sit, But I stood there and I took 5 deep breaths and I felt my lungs expand and I felt the air enter my nostrils and I just closed my eyes. I didn't think about anything but feeling my lungs expand. And she goes, and all of a sudden, just like always, when you take those deep breaths, literally you instantly feel calm. And it takes that frenzy out of your brain and allows you to focus on one thing. And she was like, and I stood up and I knew exactly where my keys were. I went and got them and I was fine. And it's true. When you are everywhere, you can't focus on one thing. And so that's where stopping with whatever is going on and just going, hold up, and take 3 breaths. And all of a sudden, that peace, that calm comes over you. And you just say to yourself, okay, what's the first logical step? And you said something just now that it alluded to the fact that you're choosing the chaos. And when you're talking about chaos around you, obviously you're not going to choose that. You can choose to participate in it. I know that stress and feeling stressed is a choice because you are choosing to jump into that frenzy every day that you feel stressed. You are in control of your feelings because you are in control of your thoughts. And so if you can take a deep breath, what happens is we have a to-do list. Let's say we've got 10, 20, 50 things on our to-do list. I got to get all this done by the end of the week. I got to get all this done today. And so we look at the whole to-do list and we go, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this. How am I going to do this? Okay, I have to hurry. I have to run. I have to do this and this and this and this. And then this leads to this and this and this. But you can't do any of that all at the same time. You can't do it all at the same time. So why are you looking at all of it? Sure, have an understanding of all the things that you need to accomplish. Some of them that way you can look at them and like, okay, that is least important. That I don't need to worry about that right now. Or this can be wait till tomorrow. Or I can delegate this to so-and-so or whatever that is. I can ask the kids to take the trash out instead of me doing it myself, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And then you have all that list and you take a couple of deep breaths and you say, okay, what's the first logical step? And you do that one thing and you focus on that one thing. And then before you know it, usually because you're focused on one thing, that just leads to the next. Or you sit back down and you say, okay, that was good. Now what's the next logical step? And you go to that. And what happens is what that's doing, it's not only are you focusing on one thing at a time, you will find that when you move slower, you get more done. But when you're in that frenzy, you're not going to get crap done because you're so focused on the frenzy and you're not focusing on those one things. And you will get everything off your list accomplished when you take your time and just ask yourself, what's next? And you and I were talking about listening to that gut feeling, that intuition earlier. And it's a practice. You're not used to doing that. You're used to just following and going, okay, then this, then this, then this, then this. But when you ask yourself, what's the next logical step? That is literally listening to your intuition. And so like I was being interviewed by a good friend of mine for her podcast. And she said, that's listening to your intuition. And I was like, great. And that's you and me speak. We use those words. We use listening to your inner being and following, like living a soul-led life is something that I fully advocate for. But for a lot of people, that means nothing. You know what I mean? But if I say to you, use your logic, use your intuition, use what makes sense to you. What makes sense to you to do first might not make sense to me, but it doesn't matter because it's not my life. It's not my list. What makes sense to you? I'm going to start here. Cool. Might have been the third thing on my list, but cool. That's going to lead you to the next thing. And you might get halfway through with that thing and think, oh, wait, first I need to do this. And that's okay. Don't judge yourself. You're moving through with ease. Because let's be honest, when we can calm all of the stuff down in our head, it feels like ease. And we've simplified words like easy. Easy doesn't mean that it's simple, that's like, piece of cake. That's not what easy means. Ease means something that is done with ease. So everything in your life can be easy because you can approach it and accomplish it with ease. Now, what's the opposite of moving with ease? Dis-ease, which is disease. We make ourselves sick.
I've done that before, literally.
We do it every day. Why do you have a headache? Because I've been running around like crazy because I haven't had enough water, because I haven't. You are in control.
The simplest things. You just mentioned the water. Water is vital. You can do without food a lot longer than you can do without
100%.
water.
I drink a lot of water. It is what I live on. And like, I have a friend the other day, it's really hot in New York right now, and we're experiencing a heat wave. And my dear friend was like, Julia, it's going to get hot. Make sure you're drinking your water. And he like literally stopped himself in the middle. He was like, I never have to worry about that with you. And I was like, no, you don't. I drink a lot of water. So I always encourage people to do two things. First of all, you want to try to get, and any doctor will tell you this, you want to try to get at least 64 ounces of water in a day. And some people who don't drink any water, they're like, no way, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. And that's like, cool. Just like anything, you work your way up. I take those first few breaths when I get up. I actually get a glass of water and then go sit and take my breaths, and start with a juice glass. You can pour yourself an 8-ounce glass of water, slam that back, and then go take your breaths. And then after you do that for 2 weeks, and that becomes a little bit of a habit, then up that to 16 ounces, which is just a pint glass, like a normal glass that you would drink soda out of. And you use that and drink that first thing in the morning before you start your day. And now you're 16 ounces in, and it doesn't feel as daunting to have 3 more of those glasses. You know what I mean?
That's absolutely true when you talk about the water, because I'm a coffee fanatic. I'm just telling you, I could drink an entire pot of coffee. And so a friend of mine told me, she's actually an esthetician, and she said, how much water do you drink in a day? This is like 15 years ago. She was actually a guest on my show frequently. And so I said, she said, what do you drink first thing in the morning? And I said, coffee. I have to get up. She said, you don't need that to get up. And I said, yes, I do. And she said, no, you don't. She said, actually, you'll be able to think more clear if you drink water, plus it's good for your skin. And then I had this teacher in elementary school. Elementary school teachers, you do what you do say does carry on into later life.
100%.
So it was Miss Anderson. It was in the 3rd grade. And Miss Anderson said this, I want you to look at the globe. She had this big globe in the classroom. She said, look, the land is a mass, but there's more water than there is land. She said, that's why you need to drink more water. She said, think about it this way. The land can't survive without all the water in the world, on Earth, on planet Earth. And that always had me thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's right about that.
Absolutely. You are made up of over 70% water. Your body is 70% water. That means we are over halfway made out of water. And if you're not replenishing that, that's problematic. And so just start out with that 8 ounces in the morning and make sure that you have a glass before you go to bed. I drink a lot of water. And so I don't want anybody measure themselves against what I'm drinking, but I drink at least 2 or 3 16-ounce glasses of water before I have my coffee. I have a friend who literally won't talk to anybody until she has that first sip of coffee. And then she takes it, and it's that is absolutely in your head. You don't need a cup of coffee in order to function. Now, it feels good. It tastes good. You love your coffee. Cool. You need a glass of water in order to clear your head. You need a glass of water and a couple of deep breaths in order to connect to yourself and function. And I understand that coffee becomes this barrier between you and the rest of the world when you just want to start your morning in peace. I get it, but it's not the coffee. It's you needing to connect to yourself. And whether you do that with coffee or whether you do that with water or orange juice or whatever that is, take that time for yourself. But don't rely on an outside source to do that for you. I was also told when I was dieting and losing all the weight that I lost that the first thing that you put in your mouth in the morning is what you're going to crave for the rest of the day. And so if you have orange juice, you're literally pouring sugar down your throat. And so you are going to want sugar all day. And same thing with coffee. If I have coffee really early in the morning, I want another cup of coffee almost immediately. I also really love the taste of coffee. I drink coffee because I love coffee. And so that's a difference too. So start with water, then have your coffee.
And this is interesting too. I'm giving her free advertising. This is Carol O'Malley. She's a trained esthetician. She has a degree, whatever. And she's in Charlotte, North Carolina. Please look her up. She really knows her stuff. But this is what she told me. She said, do you realize, she said, because I want you to get water in your body. It's going to help you in skincare. It's going to help you with your digestive system. It's going to help you with everything. And you're just going to be healthier. And she said, for every 1 cup of coffee, you need to drink 3 cups of water. And she said, can you drink that much? She said, because I think you're probably drinking, 4 or 5 cups of coffee a day. She said, that adds up to a lot of water. So then I thought, I'm just going to see if she knows what she's talking about. Well, she did know what she was talking about. She absolutely did. And you do too. With the water, that'd be the first thing you take.
Yeah, it is. It's massively effective. And if you think about it, everything you just said is right. It's absolutely going to help your skin. It helps with your digestion. It literally flows through you, right? So like it helps cleanse things and it keeps you, let's say, neutral or stable. And the thing about water, if you think about it, water is power. And I say this when I talk about people crying as well. Water is power. The water built the Grand Canyon. That is literally water erosion. Water is powerful. And so water is energy. So if you're tired, if you're feeling lethargic, also if you feel hungry and you know you shouldn't be hungry, you're probably thirsty. But that's how our body tells us we need something. So have a glass of water before you go and raid the kitchen. Have a glass of water to energize you. Water is power, and you want that through you. When you start to drink loads and loads and loads and loads of water, like almost a gallon or more a day, then you need to make sure that you're getting enough vitamins and minerals and supplements, because water will flush all of that out of you. So like I take a lot of not a lot, but I take supplements because I drink so much water every day. And so that's just a part of my regime. And I know that, I know that I'm strong and healthy and all of those things because I drink so much water, and I make sure that I'm taking care of myself that way too. So, but start small. Start with that 8 ounces every morning and maybe 8 ounces before you go to bed. Or there are times when people are like, I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night, so I can't drink water before I go to bed. Cool. You know your body, but get more water in. It's powerful. It's energy.
It really is. That and breathing. I really think that.
Those 2 things are my life, Donna.
And you are so right. You are so, and then exercise too. And you don't have to do anything strenuous. You don't have to go lift weights. You don't have to do all that kind of stuff. Simple walking helps, and stretching exercises. That's what we're doing. Phil and I are doing stretching exercises every single day. And that helps.
The thing is that we move our bodies all day, every day, hopefully, and do things that we don't think about doing. Instead of using an electric toothbrush every day, do this. Literally, hold your elbow out. Now you're holding your arm up. You know what I mean? And you're brushing your teeth. And this is movement. While you're standing there, maybe go up and down on your toes a little bit. Stretch those calves. You know what I mean? Lean forward while you're doing the dishes. Or when you have to bend over to pick something up, stay down there for a second. Stretch your back out. You know what I mean? We do these movements all day, every day, and they'll feel more comfortable the more we do them, just like anything else. It all is a practice. I often encourage people when they're in that frenzy and they're feeling overwhelmed and they start to feel stressful, and that just it literally leaches power from your body. You can feel it. It's in your gut. It's just this ick feeling. Step away. You deserve 30 seconds to a minute to 2 minutes to 5 minutes to step away from your computer, from whatever you're doing, and change your environment. Because that's going to get you out of that space, out of that headspace, and get you in a different, better feeling place, so that when you come back to the computer, you can look at it with a different point of view, a different perspective, and be like, okay, and now you're not in it. Do you know what I mean? And so I encourage people to just I live in New York. I can walk anywhere I want to, you know what I mean? But not everybody does. And so walk around the perimeter of your property, walk around the perimeter of your house, walk back and forth up and down your driveway, and you know what I mean? Or down the street and back, whatever you need to do. Get out of the house, get out of the office, walk around. That's going to clear your head. And it's also going to move your muscles and, shift your body and all that thing. There is something to be said. There's not just something to be said. We are a part of nature, and we find ourselves as humans feeling so superior. We're the apex predator. We're this, we're that, we're this. And it's like, you're right. But we are connected to all of the things in this world. And when we go outside and can connect to the earth, there is power there. You are energized the moment you step into the sun. You are energized. Even if it means that you're in the shade, being outside is so helpful. And there are studies that prove this. It's not just Julia talking out of her butt because she loves the sun so much. Like, it's literally, they've done tests where like you're in your rubber-soled shoes standing in the park, and they measure the energy running through your body. Like, there's like this electrode thing that they put on your feet, and it's like at 70 or something like that. Take your shoes off, and now all of a sudden you're flat-footed, barefoot in the grass. Just that. Your energy spikes up to like 250 or something like that, because we are a part of the earth. And we think of ourselves as separate, as better than. We tear it all apart. We destroy it and all the things. And we are actually a part of it. And if we took time to work together with that connection, we would be more healthy. And the planet would be more healthy, because we are connected and we work together. And this is getting a little woo-woo, and I get that. But like, I'm saying all of this because there is scientific evidence proving all of this stuff. And just go on how you feel. Mm-hmm. How does it feel when you take a deep breath in beautiful, clear, fresh air? Mm-hmm. When you take that moment to just be like, oh, it feels so good out here. Even in the heat, it feels amazing to be outside for a moment. And then you want back in the cool, of course. I get it. But you automatically feel better. It automatically shifts your perspective and like changes all of the stuff in your head. So get outside, go for that walk, change your environment, and get away from whatever it is that's stressing you out. You're in the middle of an argument, and you can feel it. Your stomach is tight. You feel like you're going to throw up. You're breathing heavy. Your muscles start to tense up, and you just want to explode. You just want to yell at the person that's maybe yelling at you. Stop. Literally say, you know what? I'm reacting to this, and I need to table this. I'm going to be right back. And go outside. Go for a walk, shift your perspective, and you're going to come back so much calmer and clearer. And you might even be like, what are we even arguing about?
It works. And I'm going to say, I know there's some experience, because my parents didn't get along with each other when I was growing up.
Right.
Dad would keep his hands in his pockets, not say anything, and go outside, and then come back in, and it would be better. But I wanted to mention this, your plants, and I know it sounds like, whoa, Donna's crazy, but I'm just going to tell you, this is not crazy. Okay, so you want to grow a tomato? Nobody else has tomatoes coming up, but old Donna does. You know why? Because I talk to them. Mm-hmm. I really do, and I thank them for giving me tomatoes.
Yeah. A friend of mine who loves plants insisted he bought it for me. He bought me a tree. It's sitting right here. I love her so much. I've never been able to grow anything. You and I have talked about this, how I do not have a green thumb. And I have been able to take care of this tree, and she's beautiful, and she's growing, and she's doing really well. And I'm super excited about it. But he was like, I told you, I've known this since I was little. And there's been a recent science report done where through connectivity and all this stuff, and it's literally your house plants feel your energy. They know you love them. They know that, and they love you back in their own plant way, to the point where when someone left their house and they were doing this study, they left the house and they were 2 kilometers away from their house, and the energy of the plant shifted. And as that person approached the house and got within 2 kilometers of their house, the energy picked back up, because the plant knew the person was coming back into the building. Like, they know, they recognize us, they recognize our emotions. They don't process it the same way, but it's different because they're a plant, but at the same time, they feel it, they know it. So you're having trouble with a plant? Love it, talk to it, figure out what's wrong, but you know what I mean? Like, they do react to it.
It just works.
There's loads of studies about this, Donna. There's a study of this Japanese man. Yep.
I got one for you right here. Okay. So this guy, and I have all of his books, and he's on the show frequently, at least once a month. His name is Ron Foster. He has written several books. Find yourself a prepper. I'm just telling you, they know people who prep and live off the land. I'm just telling you, this guy is totally the first time I met him, I was kind of like, oh no, I'm just telling you, he's one of the smartest humans I know. And he's talking about every single thing you're talking about. He said, people don't talk to the plants. And I said, well, why should people talk to the plants? He said, they feel you. They know you. He said, do you have chickens? And I said, yeah. And he said, you need to be talking to your chickens. And I said, yeah, people are going to think I'm nuts if I do that. And he said, no, I don't care what people think.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, every time I get an egg, because of Ron, every time I get it, it's like she's like a manufacturing company. It's like she wants to make more eggs. And I thank her. Her name is April, one of them. And then we have like 9 chickens. But oldest one is April. And so every single day I say, April, thank you for the egg. Yeah. And it's almost like she's so grateful that I know it sounds odd, but she's so that she's getting attention.
Yeah.
And these chickens run to us like dogs. I mean, they feel part of the community.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
I think we humans that way.
What I was going to say is that, like, we're talking about animals, which are even more and can actually demonstrate their return love more clearly than a plant can. You know what I mean? But except that your tomatoes are producing more fruit. My tree is growing more leaves than the person who gave it to me, who is a studied plant person. And he's like, why are my trees dropping their leaves and yours are growing? And I'm like, because I talk to her. I tell her every morning how beautiful she is. Every new little leaf I'm praising. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. You've got this stuff. And so instead of being like frustrated with the plant for not doing well, there's this Japanese man, and he did the study, and I don't know all the details, and I'm sure that there's caveats, or maybe it's even been disproved, but this man took a bucket of water, 2 buckets of water, and 1 bucket of water he spilled hate upon, criticized it, told it was ugly, told it was dirty and not worth drinking. The other bucket of water he praised, told him how much he loved it, how grateful he was that this water was pure and clean and beautiful and all of this stuff. After, I don't remember, 2 weeks, 2 months, something like that, the water in 1 bucket, the one filled with hate and criticism, was murky and disgusting, as if it had been stagnant water for this whole time. And the bucket in the other one, same water poured the same day, was crystal clear, totally drinkable and beautiful. If water can be affected by what we say to it, imagine what we're doing. Imagine what damage we're doing to ourselves when we tell ourselves that we're stupid, that we're lazy, that we're not good enough, that we're ugly, that we're fat, that we need to lose weight, that we all of these criticisms. Mm-hmm. And think about it. Every time that you say something like that, it hurts. It feels uncomfortable. It makes you feel worse about yourself. Anytime somebody else criticizes you, it doesn't feel good. And that's because it's not true. Because who you really are at your core loves everything about you. And so when something is said that is in opposition to that, it feels awful. And so when you feel bad, when somebody says something to you, you know it's not true. When you feel good because someone's singing your praises or telling you look really beautiful today, because it's true. When you tell yourself that was really good, that feels good. You are supposed to feel good. That is what you are here to do. So if your thoughts are taking you in a direction where you don't feel good, guess what? Shift your thoughts. Start to feel good. You will change your life. I'm telling you, you are in control of your life. And if you want to feel good, feel good. Because that is going to bring more into your life that will feel good. It's a universal law. It's the law of attraction. And if you are focused on what's bad, guess what? You are literally inviting more bad. Mm-hmm. Because law of attraction isn't biased. It's not only going to bring you the stuff that you want. It's going to bring you wherever you're focused, because where focus goes, energy goes, and you're pouring energy to whatever you're focusing on. That's why I always tell people, turn off the television, get out of social media. I'm not saying get off of social media. Just step away from it, because it literally is what you're putting your focus on, and you're just going to bring more of that into your life. And if it doesn't feel good, why would you want more of it?
Right. And then you're going to spill that over to other people, and then they're going to have a bad day. I mean, that's what it's going to be. We've got to go into a commercial break. You know what? Guys actually watch the show.
Woohoo! Of course they do.
These guys, when we come back. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Okay, cool.
Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
We are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television talk show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone. If we get to ride home with you in the afternoon, we have a YouTube page. We also, well, it's actually, I guess it's a channel, right? YouTube channel is what Phil says. You know, it's not a page, it's a channel. And he's right. It really is. So you can also find us on Facebook. We have a channel there. We've had that for years. And if it's social media, we're doing it. And it's because we want to get all this information because we have the absolute best guests. So I was interviewed by somebody the other day, and she said, "Why is your show a success?" And I said, "Because it's not my show." And she said, "What do you mean by that?" And I said, "The guests are my show. The sponsors are the show. The audience is the show. I'm just the person there." So... And we know how to have wonderful folks, and Julia Christine is one of those people. Thanks for all of your insight, and it's really helped my life a lot, and you've helped the lives of a lot of folks. Men are watching the show. And so, and I've had this question posed at me before when I had my show also in Charlotte, North Carolina, because I'm sitting here thinking only women watch. No, a lot of guys do too. So I had a few men this past month who have asked, I don't understand women. No, they hint at us. They don't just spit it out and say, Julia and I do, but anyway, a lot of women don't, because you think a man needs to take a hint. So they want to know what your analysis is on that.
Sure. I have a couple of different things that I'd love to say to address this. If you want a point blank answer to why don't women just spit it out, the answer is fear. The answer is fear. And I'm going to be honest with you, the same is true for men, because there are times when men are thinking things that they don't say, and they think that they've exemplified it to a woman in order enough for them to get it. How come you're not getting this? My behavior is proving to you that I support you, but I'm not saying anything. I'm not, you know what I mean? Whatever that is. And you don't, because there's fear. And so obviously communication is key to all of this. And yet, so often, we as humans, not men and women, we as humans are afraid to speak our truth because we don't want to lose what we think is so valuable to us. And if I say the wrong thing, they're out. And a lot of this has to do, and when we get to the male versus female issue, if that isn't really an issue, but let's go with it, that's because of our training. That's because we are told from birth, men behave this way, women behave this way. Men are strong, they don't cry, they don't express emotion. Women are sensitive and full of emotions, and that's all they offer. They are nurturing and compassionate. Men are the breadwinners. They go out and work, and they have to have muscles, and they have to be toned, and they have to be, hey man. Women need to be June Cleaver and be, a specific way or whatever that is. And however you're trained from infancy, whether you had a feminist for a mother and who was like, screw Jane Cleaver, you do what you want, that's going to be your idea of what a woman should be. Whereas, you know what I mean? So depending on your training and depending on your partner's training, they're going to make assumptions about you and about themselves based on that training. And so if a woman thinks that she is less than a man, or that she is lucky to have gotten you as this man, she's not going to say that she's unhappy because she doesn't want to lose you. She's not going to say, I need you to behave differently, or I wouldn't like, because, or my needs, feelings, whatever, aren't being reached because she has something of value and she doesn't feel worthy of it. And this works both ways. Men have these feelings too. That's what I mean. It's a human condition. It's not a male-female thing. But as a man, your friends talk to you. Your friends tell you straight up, because you're a man, because you're a dude, because they're safe with you. And so if you want a woman to open up, you need to talk to her. You need to make sure that she is safe, that she feels safe, that she feels like this man loves me for who and what I am, and I can be myself and not have to play these games of pretending that I'm not myself or pretending that everything's okay when it's not. Now, that doesn't mean that you're giving her free rein against all of your faults or anything like that. But what you're doing is you're creating a safe space and you're saying, I feel like our conversations or how we've moved forward these last however long, our behavior is making me feel like you want me to pick up on something that I'm not picking up on. I want you to be honest with me. I want us to be honest with each other. And that means being vulnerable, which is scary as hell for everybody. Most people would say for men. Women struggle to have vulnerability too. Mm-hmm. It might look different for men and women, but it works both ways. 9 times out of 10, whatever you're feeling about your partner is having those feelings too. Because we're human. It's human conditioning. It's not male-female. The only reason there's that massive separation between male-female is because we've been told there is. And yeah, sure, our chromosomes are different and there are differences. And, we have highs and lows, but so do men. And so it's like, try to allow yourself to release some of that training about women are just so different. What if they're not? What if she just wants to know she's safe? What if she just wants to know that she can trust me, that I'm not going anywhere, that I'm lucky to have her? And make sure that that's clear and give her an opportunity, like literally present her with an opportunity to be vulnerable, to trust you, and to accept that. Now, here's the thing. Any of this, all of this, needs to also be demonstrated in behavior. And not just words, because I can tell you to trust me. Doesn't mean you're going to. I can say you're safe with me. You can trust me. And then when somebody starts, let's say, Donna, you start to tell me where I'm failing. Now all of a sudden I'm in defense. And so now I'm going to attack. Okay, safe space gone. Trusting and being vulnerable and open is gone. So if you are going to open that box and you are going to say, I want us to be honest and open with each other, even if I don't like it. What you get to do is what we've talked about before, and I'm confident we will talk about again, is receive the things and the perceptions that this other person has of you and your behaviors and the situation that you're experiencing together. Remember that even though, this is why I like to say there's no such thing as reality, because even this conversation, Donna, between you and I, you'd think this is our reality. We are having this conversation, but your perspective of this conversation is different than mine just based on who we are. And our experiences and our previous conversations, the perception of what your partner is experiencing in this relationship is going to be different than yours. And so when you present them with an opportunity to hear their perspective, it's important to allow them to have that perspective. Now, you don't have to defend yourself. What you do is, like, let's pretend that this opens something up and she feels like she can just list all your faults. Let her finish. And then say, I want to be honest with you. I feel a little attacked. I feel like this was an opportunity for you to tell me all the things that are wrong with me. I don't necessarily agree with you in all of those things. And let's have a conversation about it. As you start to hear what this person's perspective is, you can ask yourself, is that true? Is that true? And you can say, no, that's not who I am at all, in your head. And so then you can say, okay, that's not about me. There's nothing I can do about that. That's something that we're going to need to figure out together. That actually, that is my behavior. That's kind of part of who I am. Is that something you can deal with? Can we come to a compromise on that? Because maybe you can't. And maybe you can. And likely you can, especially if there really is love there, because you love the person for all of who they are and not just the parts that you really, really like.
You know something, Julia, sometimes it's something as simple as one person is left-handed and the other person is right-handed. I'm left-handed, Phil is right-handed. And so we were looking at a house one time and I said, I really love this house. And Phil's looking at it like, why do you like it so much? And I said, because it's designed for a left-handed person. I'm always reaching this way for the light switch. We're always looking this way. So it's so, I mean, I don't feel discriminated against. I'm just saying I'm left-handed.
Right.
And so some things are just more natural to me. I can play killer baseball because I'm a left-hander. So
You are so funny.
but it's so fun. But then a lot of things are inconvenient for me. So I've just had to adjust.
Yeah.
To things through life. Think about this. Okay, you're in third grade. And so you have the spiral notebooks. Okay, the spiral is always on the left side, right? I always had these little marks.
Yeah.
On my Arscos era, but I learned to adjust to it. So what I did is I turned the book around and I started writing my spirals on this side. So I'm just writing this way. Sometimes we have to adjust, but then sometimes we don't have to. But I wanted to mention this, and you really made me think of this, because we've taught security. And you've talked about sometimes we're just not aware of the way we are holding ourselves, walking or whatever. So a friend of mine, Rick Staines, I've known him since the show started over 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so he's on the show once a month. And he talks about this. And he said, sometimes, a predator will pick on somebody. And sometimes that can happen in a relationship. They think you are a particular way. Predators are always looking for the person they feel like is the less exercise for them to attack. See what I'm saying? And he is right about that. He said, because sometimes if you feel like the world is on your shoulders and you're walking down and you've got your head, and it could be you're just looking at your cell phone. A predator doesn't care. Sometimes this happens. People are picked on because they feel like they're the weaker of the herd.
Absolutely. And I think that, but I want to see, while I understand what you're saying and what this person is saying, I also, you want me to understand?
Yeah, I want you. No, I want you to tell us your perspective.
Oh, I was like, I do understand.
Are you kidding me?
And I also very much feel like no one is inherently a predator. No one is inherently a predator.
Explain that to us, because I'm just telling you, it feels like
I know. And so then, but what about the bullies? Those are predators. What about what a bully is doing is trying to fill a void, is trying to do something to make themselves feel better. And because of the world we live in, and because of whatever their training has been based on how they've been treated, maybe by a quote unquote predator or someone who has made them feel less than, then their response is to do their best to make somebody else feel less than. Now, is that about the person that they're attacking? No, it is 100% about them. And yes, of course, the weakest link is the easiest target, just like in nature and in the real world. Obviously, that's a thing. So of course I understand that, but I do not believe that inherently, especially if we're talking about people in a relationship who are already in a relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean that one of them is a predator. It means that somebody's, like, when somebody is attacking, it's because of their insecurities and their reaction. Usually, because if someone's in attack mode, they're not responding, they're in reaction mode. That's a different part of your brain. Mm-hmm. They're defending themselves. They're trying to avoid the feelings. They're trying to make sure that they are feeling whole and complete and better. And so that's where anytime that we've talked about this, where I'm like, not about you. Somebody's talking crap about you. It's not about you. And that's why you can just let it go and not worry about those. And that's where, when you ask yourself if something is true, is really important, because if it's not true about you, it's not about you. If they're telling you and pointing out your behavior, when you said this, it made me feel this and I reacted this way, cool. Now I understand that those words affected you. Do I want to change what I said? Yeah, I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm really sorry that hurt you. Now, what if you said something that you're not sorry you said because it was true? You can still be sorry that it hurt their feelings. I'm really sorry that you were hurt by that. I didn't apologize for what I did or said. I'm sorry that they experienced hurt from me speaking the truth. Now, I don't have to point that out, but they hear the apology. Again, that's our training. We want an apology. But this is where I was going back to saying, you can apologize to your blue in the face. It doesn't mean crap. An apology, a true apology, if you really are sorry about something, then you change your behavior. Your behavior is going to show me. Because I'll be honest with you, I actually, when I remember kind of realizing this several years ago, because my brother has a habit because of who he is, and he would admit this, so I don't mind saying this in a public forum, that when he is upset about anything, he goes inside and he will lock himself in his room. He won't answer the phone calls. He barely gets to work. He like it, and it's problematic. And he will go weeks without talking to anybody. And we're like, just let us know you're okay. Like texting, calling, all these stuff. You've disappeared. Where did you go? And then we get the email or the text or the call that's like, I'm sorry, I was in a dark place. I'm sorry that I let you down, and I'm sorry this. And it's like, finally, it was like, how many times have you apologized for this exact same thing? Your apology doesn't mean anything anymore. Change your behavior. Before you go to that dark place, give us a call. Take 2 seconds to text and say, I'm not up for this right now. I'll get back to you when I can. I'm fine. Cool. You're allowed to be you, but you also have other people, change your behavior. And so if somebody's like these conversations and like, she just wants me to read her. No, she doesn't. She'd like to talk to you. I bet. Just like you want to talk to her. She just doesn't feel safe because she's afraid. There's some sort of fear there, whether it's that she's going to lose you, whether that she doesn't trust you, whether that you're just going to apologize again and not change your behavior, whatever that is. And sometimes it has nothing to do with you. Sometimes, and we are all really good at this, she has taken one thing you said and turned it into a giant story about how she failed you, about how you're going to leave, about how, like, I literally... I was in love with this man who wasn't in love with me, okay? And we would have conversations, and we got along so great. And it was like, why isn't he with me? Like, we're for each other. I saw it clear as day. And he would tell me stories about a couple that he was friends with. And he's literally telling me a story about this guy and this girl, and just because he was, I ran into my friend the other day, and this is what's going on with them, kind of story. And I would literally take that story and make it about him and me. I would literally, in my mind, be like, oh, he wants me to behave this way, and that's why he's telling me this story. Oh, if I want this to work out between us, I need to do da 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 da, and that's why he's telling me this story. No, he was just telling me a story. We do this thing in our heads, and somebody says one thing, and all of a sudden, or they don't return your call, they're mad at you. She didn't return my call. She must be upset with me. I still do that. And I know better. My brother doesn't call me back. It's about me. What did I do? Did I upset my brother?
What did I do? Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. No, has nothing to do with you. But we nightmare into this idea of, oh, this happened. Oh, and we dig something up that we maybe could have slighted that person. And, oh, I must have done that. Well, if they're mad at me for that, that's bull. I'm not going to do that. Da, 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 da. And now all of a sudden we're mad for something that we made up in our heads. And so, all of us do it. That is a human condition. Men do it. Women do it. I see it all the time.
The customs, like I didn't know the customs at first, even though I was in the business, on sending text. So a friend of mine, I accidentally capitalized everything.
Oh, so why are you yelling at me?
So she sends me a message. What's wrong? Why are you mad? And I'm like, what the heck is she talking about?
Right.
And I sent one back. I said, what are you talking about? And she said, you were yelling. I'm going, I just sent you a text. How could I be possibly yelling at you? I mean, so I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
She said, you capitalized everything. And I said, educate me. What does that mean?
Right.
She said,
and you're kind of proving my point, because that was a conversation that you were being like, hold up, what's going on? Like, so the fact that you guys were able to talk about that's what we're talking about. Instead of just jumping to a conclusion, I didn't know she was mad. Why didn't she tell me she was mad? Why is she just automatically jumping into all caps? And now you could, in a relationship, nightmare that into being a thing. And now you're like, how was I supposed to know? How am I, if you're not going to talk to me, how am I supposed to get these signals? And then like, I don't even know what I did. You didn't do anything.
It's just the custom.
But if you would just talk about it and be like, okay, your reaction to this is making me feel like you're upset and I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Can we talk about this? And then that person can be like, what do you mean? Everything is fine. And you're like, oh, because I just made that into a big thing in my head. And that's where we started with communication is key. And communicating through your words and through your behavior that you are a safe space, that you are here to listen, and then make sure that you do, and that you are not just going to react to the things that they're saying, but really hear them. I'm not kidding. That will make all the world. Then you're going to be told all the things and you might not want to hear them. But that's the thing, is that then
I can grow
if something's not true, you can say, hold on a second. I don't think that that's true. Can you give me an example of where you think that's true? Because again, it's because we're human and it's not just a you thing to your partner, or it's not just a female thing to your partner. It literally is, oh, you told yourself a story. Don't say that. That would not be a good thing to say. But like in your head, oh, you interpreted that to mean something that it absolutely didn't. I'm really sorry you took it that way. That is absolutely not what I meant. And that's all it is.
We're going to have to go in less than 2 minutes. So, but let me ask you a really important question. Okay,
yes.
There's a book out, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Do you agree with this book?
No. I mean, I haven't read the book. Truth be told, I have not read the book. But as I said, everything that we have talked about is about human behavior. It's not men and women. And the reason why we feel like there's such a massive difference between men and women is because we have been trained that way since the beginning of time. We have eons of history that support this massive divide. And it's not true.
I'm glad you said that, because, and we're going to have to go, but I'm going to say this. Okay, so we're being told that the younger generation is bringing chaos. No, it's not. Okay, so when you have sat and you've watched television all your life, and I'm talking about people in 1940s, 1950s when soap operas started. Okay, I'm talking about the Donna Reed show, where Donna Reed runs around and wears a dress all the time with high heels cleaning the house. For goodness sakes, that's not the real world. And when that's projected to us, and we think that because we see it on television, we think because we see it on news that it's the truth, it's not. It's not.
Instead of thinking the younger generation is right. And instead of thinking the younger generation is bringing chaos, or the other genders are bringing chaos, or other religions are bringing chaos, just remember what all of those factions are bringing is a different perspective. And if you can try to pull yourself out of your perspective, your ironed in clad perspective that you've held on to so tightly for all these years, and be like, what would it be like to grow up in this generation where you have access to news over 24/7 and you've just got constant information pouring at you, every information you want at your fingertips? What would that be like? Because that is night and day from how you and I grew up, Donna. Why wouldn't we expect them to have a voice? We weren't allowed to have a voice. They're being told they have to have a voice. Of course it's going to be different. Of course it's going to be different. I'm not saying put yourself in somebody else's shoes. I'm saying pull back and realize that the people around you that are so black and white different from you are approaching their lives from a different perspective based on the color of their freaking skin, because that is a different experience than yours. Based on the fact that you have an Audi instead of an Innie, because you're left-handed or right-handed, that is a different experience. And so every perspective of every human on the planet is different. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just different. And it's beautiful.
We got to go. How can folks find your podcast?
Life After Breath on any podcast listening station. Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can find Life After Breath. And you can email me and contact me through juliachristinehealer.com.
Absolutely. Girl, thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Our audience loves you too.
Yay! I love being here.
Next time around.